Hello everyone, this is San Martin's team. Today we are going to present our TIPS project and it is named Increase Students' Performance on Reading Comprehension, and we are using project-based learners to make it. In this step, we examine a unit taught in class and identify essential elements from PBL so that we will recreate or adapt the design to the needs of our individual classrooms. In these guide notes, we have organized our project and use it as a guide to present our tip. After we discuss about the PBL, we could conclude that PBL is a method where students learn autonomously in the real world and with teachers' help. Something important to have clear in this PBL is that it requires critical thinking, problem solving, collaboration, and various forms of communication. To answer a driving question and create high quality work, students need to do much more than remember information. They need to use higher order thinking skills and learn to work as a team. And we will use it in a certain time of our unit to develop this tip. Now, here is our agenda, which will give us the road to present and explain our tip. Otherwise, you can post questions and doubts through emails, and we will respond to them as soon as we can. Demographics. Our students are choosing from different schools along 10 provinces of San Martin region and some other regions from Peru with different English levels, but with similar attitudes. When we plan a unit, we identify some questions which guide the topic and subtopics we treat on it, and also its objectives. The students read different types of texts. Some focus on grammar and students reflect what they learned on tasks previously determined for them. This tip is based on the competence of read different written texts in English from our curriculum design. And to improve this skill, we determine to take 25 minutes at the end of every lesson to develop our tip, which consists in lets students read and do some activities previous program. As all you know, we also have to use the assessment objectives from the IB program that our students start this year too. For this tip, we are going to need text from the library and some from the internet, which we have to choose with the appropriate level so students can read them with ease and confidence. Some of the main activities from this unit will be look for vocabulary, use command sheets, share what they understand with their partners, etc. With this tip, we hope to engage and increase the reading comprehension of our students. Now, here is Kelly, who will talk in depth about it.
Much, Mr. Percy. Hello, Diane. Hello, colleagues. In this part, we are going to talk about our research question and how can help our students to understand what they read. The question in this case is how a student will increase performance or reading comprehension. To answer it and support this tip, we will use different materials, strategies, tasks, and some online tools align them to our unit and the assessment standards checked before according to the grade. Okay, to begin with, here we are going to talk about the materials that you will use. Number one, we have printed material such as the reader books, novels, other subject English books, and magazines, which will help students to motivate the interaction with literature and information. Number two, we have online materials like Storyline, which is about the reader books and that are read by artists. The other is American Teens Talk, which is a collection of interviews of American high school students in both writing and audio format with interesting experiences. Okay, other is Peru with Week, which is English news from Peru, and a student can use it to keep informed. The last is Foreign Policy, which is also a magazine where you can read information about miscellaneous. Well, here with some strategies we will use with our tip, like using prior knowledge, previewing, predicting, identifying the main idea, and supporting ideas, questioning, making inferences, answering comprehension questions, read aloud in groups or read in pairs, memory games, and others. Of all these strategies will help students improve their performance in reading comprehension. Okay, another important part are the tasks, which help students to organize and understand information they read. The use of these tasks help to focus on concepts and vocabulary that are important to promote the creativity and the critical thinking. So these tasks are graphic organizer, mind maps, reading record journals, comprehension questions, and glossary. Okay, so to finish with this, it's a good for our tip to assess the progress of our students. But in this case, we will do through self-assessment and the peer assessment. For it, we will use some online tools. For example, we have, in this case, Paddle, Screencastify, Jamboard, Fountain, and Mentimeter. For example, Paddle is very interesting because the student will write comments and other things. So in this case, it's important that we use these tools to make task and other things. Thank you so much. And now teacher Julio will continue explain the next point.
Well, now it's time to talk about the organization of the tasks. We will devote the first 3 weeks of the learning unit to implement the extensive reading approach. In every in-person or virtual session, at least 25 minutes will be dedicated to read for pleasure, and 10 minutes will be allocated for the teacher to carry out formative assessments to assure student motivation and engagement. During the last week of the learning unit, we will use the intensive reading approach. In other words, we will focus on content and grammatical structures. We will read aloud, ask questions, and have students use reading strategies such as prediction, questioning, and others. Our students will have the opportunity to check out a book of their choice from the library during the first week. This way, we'll make sure they are reading a book they are interested in, which is a key feature of the extensive reading approach. We are conscious of the importance of giving students options when it comes to picking a book and the time they need to read it, given that they are reading it at their own pace. However, they also need to be aware of how crucial it is to manage their time efficiently to meet deadlines. This way, they can reach the projected milestones as scheduled within the unit. We're going to set boundaries about the allocated time they are going to have and the corresponding assessment criteria. And we will do this after we brainstorm ideas on how students want to demonstrate what they have understood. That's going to be clear from the start of the unit. There is a wide variety of materials and resources that we intend to share with our students to improve their reading comprehension. It has been previously mentioned there are plenty of books available in the library, such as short stories, graded readers, novels, and even some textbooks. However, our students will choose one from the books listed in our annual reading plan as a starting point for future reading endeavors. In summary, we will use a combination of the two reading approaches previously mentioned to try to make our students be excited about English, as well as helping them improve their comprehension of written texts. We also want them to understand the importance of reading as a means of learning about the world around them and to instill a love of reading in our students, which is the other objective. At the end of the unit, our students will produce a book journal where they will record their thoughts, feelings, etc. about the particular book they are reading. After assessing the student's proficiency and based on the assessment, we would change the course of action if needed. The next presenter is going to talk in more detail about the assessment tools we're planning to use in the unit. Thanks.
Real world learning partners. What partnerships or audience do you imagine for this project? Well, to continue with the presentation, as my colleagues explained before, this project benefits our students in the fourth grade of high school in the skill of reading comprehension. Now I am going to answer the following question with some sample. This is the question. How do we find community partners, competitions, or create performance opportunities? There are a lot of ways to do this, but in this case, I'm going to explain three things. This is the first, about community partners. We can contact teachers from our city who are enthusiastic writers and authors in order to have connections that will contribute to our objective. This is the second one, about competitions. We keep in touch with teachers of high schools who work with projects around the country among COAR schools in order to create competitions such as spelling bee contests. This is the third one, about creating performance opportunities. We will use Penpal for schools to find international partners to exchange experiences and knowledge. Now I'm going to talk about the tools that we were using and some of the new tools new tools that we are going to use during this year. We will use tools like Padlet, Jamboard, Screencastify, Mentimeter, and Pythons to give students opportunities to demonstrate their linguistics abilities, mainly reading comprehension. Now I'm going to present 3 examples of using the previous tools. As you can see here, this is the first, Padlet. Here you can see the journals where our students reflect on some questions regarding the reading plan, which is emphasized in the individual oral assessment. Here the students can interact between them, they can share information, they can comment and give likes. Now this is the second tool, which is Mentimeter. We can use it in different ways. For instance, this is an activity of multiple choice, especially to develop the reading comprehension. As you know, we are going to measure here the skill of reading comprehension. Here our students complete the assignment and then they can see the rank and result. Finally, this is Jamboard, where our students could see presentations and create their mind maps. In these tips, we examined a PBL or RWL unit thought in an ESL class and identify the essential planning elements. As a result, we can adapt the essential elements of a PBL or RWL lesson for the needs of our individual classroom. As you can see here, you can find our emails and we can keep in contact. I have now come to the end of my presentation. In summary, I spoke about our intensive and extensive reading project. So thank you so much for your attention.